So do you ever think life is guided? I do. I happen to think that life is guided
How guided?
in multiple fronts. Well, you know that certain things have fallen in time. And then the cycles, yes? The cycle from... Yeah, wait. Stars to black holes, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So we could say the middle point, or the neutral, is gas, hydrogen, yes?
Yeah.
So from gas, stars create
Mm-hmm.
into denser objects,
Yeah.
and then from black holes will diffuse elements back into gas.
Mm-hmm.
Stars die alone.
Yeah.
Not 100% true on that understanding, and black holes together.
Mm-hmm.
So we understand that we get a few egg-shaped stars until they begin to start creating a lot of junk, a lot of heavy, denser objects.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes along the neutrino, which you think about it like a douche, douche, douche. Lots of planets.
Yeah.
Magnetism being the ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
And that stretching and squeezing.
Yeah.
So to draw them all in a line is probably a bit wrong to do so, but even still, so stretching and squeezing. So we understand Io on Jupiter. What is it, 3 billion amps? And it creates storms on Jupiter.
Yeah.
Now, let's take that process and let's give lots of planets to a star. That stretching and squeezing is going to drive it absolutely insane. So therefore, in essence, the star is going to get hotter because it's getting extra energy. It's being pulled in multiple directions. So you could class that as a neutrino star. And neutrinos create black holes. Black holes will then, in the beginning, there's no neutrino, not yet. So you just have a few egg-shaped stars, let's say.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's do them a bit that way. And then the more matter there is, the more waste product. Then comes planets. After you get planets, lots and lots and lots of planets, lots of junk from the gas. I should say more together, more denser objects from the gas. There's more to build with. And with this, the stars change from an egg shape to a bit more refined, is what we can understand as stars. Then there are multiple pieces of condensed materials, or dense material, which then inevitably create the neutrino. And the neutrino then creates the black hole. The black hole then orders the cluster of stars. Each one keeps creating neutrinos, and then we have galaxies. Galaxies arise, and then slowly but surely, and then from one galaxy, dush, 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 to another, they begin to pull in other black holes, which would be in other galaxies. Let's do it a bit like this. This moves material.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just move material, it also moves life forms. We often believe that extinction means game over, right?
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true. It creates blocks, let's say blocks, which we'd understand as building blocks, multiple building blocks. So, let's say life. Did you know the more the universe transitions towards? So we could understand that the stars get a head start. It's just an illusion.
Yeah.
It just appears that way. They actually don't get a head start, technically. As they begin to create the neutrinos, there's more of these neutrinos because there's more stuff around to create this. So they get more advanced, basically. As it goes on, it gets more and more advanced. Then we see more black holes, and eventually there will be lots of black holes, although they don't appear to be lots of black holes. Why? The illusion gets lost in the fact that black holes come together. They merge. They merge together. So if we had a load of black holes, they come together. Stars? Stars want to be on their own. Well, technically binary, yes, I understand. But it's unlikely that they're going to form together. It's not impossible. It's just less likely. It's more likely to see black holes come together. Stars seem to want to have their distance. And then if we have a small star, dwarf, and a giant, this may siphon off of this one. And vice versa. And as it does, if one explodes, it's usually going to take the other one with it. So in instability, loads of things can trigger this. So we can see that then these, you could say, then would die together. But technically, it's going to be more like black holes that are going to come together. And stars want to take gas and create matter, denser objects. And black holes want to take matter. It's the reverse, basically. So stars go this way, and that can be any number. So even if it advanced really far this cycle, once the black holes get it, they go the opposite way. They bring it back to gas. And then again, the process comes again. Back. Cycle, whichever way you want to look at that. So we are a recycling system. It's not for no reason. Life forms. Now that's interesting. Could you imagine a whole warehouse bigger than the universe filled with different variables of life forms? Some naturally occurring, some artificial. What came first, the chicken or the egg? The process or the life forms? Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, life forms secondary. And anything collected, could you imagine a whole database? So we look at the periodic table, right? Life forms towards the end of the cycle are more advanced. And they have to be, because they've got to play catch up. They've got a shorter amount of time to do something, so therefore, by design, they need to be more intelligent. Two types of ways of learning intelligence. To be honest, it's naturally forming with the ingredients that you've got. So we could look at a database of life forms, multiple different variations of life forms. Now, necessarily, some are known and some are unknown as to how they're going to respond in the biome here. And it's a careful factor, a bit like humans breed with one another, right? One from over here, another from over here, breed, this, that, and the other. So that's one version of it. If you meet intelligent life forms and you decide to breed with one another, you will then understand that you're taking a lot of information from, let's say, one galaxy, excuse me, and from another galaxy. And if these life forms begin to meet in the middle, let's say, and they find a way to bridge the species so that they are compatible with breeding, you then get a new outcome. How does that progress? Who knows? Question mark that. At the end, it's known. It's known that this verse is from here, from there, from here, over there. Anyway, so life, we often play this superior, inferior. Every single idea that you can look at across the land, in any nation, anywhere, where's it come from? Well, that whole thing. You notice how ego works. Ego is great when we say that it beats than saying, I don't know. Where did you learn all of that from? How did you know all of this stuff? Well, it was all me. Okay, why did you do those evil acts? I was possessed. I saw a red fog and... Do you appreciate that one is blamed on something, but yet when you do something good, it's not called possession. Often than not, it's called crazy. So when we look out across the planet, where did all of that stuff come from? Well, it comes from thoughts, minds. Who did it? Who helped it? Yes, sure. Without the life form, without the guidance, without the universe, there's a lot of things going on that are leading us. And we often want to take all credit for it, don't we? Like ego, but there's so much more than meets the eye, isn't it? Anyway, whether it really matters or not, to be honest, I think looking at a 3 ratio helps.
Okay.
So the yin and yang symbol, interesting, I like it, close, but I would make it as a trinary universe. Well, when we look at it from gas to black holes, again, the medium is what we would call gas then, and either or. One can be broken down backwards. So if we understand the periodic table, we think that it goes this way, and then we look at focus up to, let's say at the moment, current understanding is iron, yes? But a black hole goes backwards. The difference is stars spit out what they've made. So after their death, they spit it out. Black holes will hold it. They will hold it. And then when you have a supermassive black hole, off it goes again until you come down to your final galaxy. Does it need to suck up the whole of the space? Interesting. You know, these little fixtures in the medium, and then you have the construct. It can take these in. It doesn't have to, but it could. And it doesn't matter either way, because what goes in comes back out. And the process happens again. Now, it's very unique. We're talking about life forms on this one. I'm going to pick that back up. I want that one. So we're talking about life forms. So we understand extinction, which everybody says that we've got a belief that extinction means game over, which is also go, by the way. It's never game over. Extinction. So let's say if life forms on the planet have been around, let's just assume that taking it from the moon is around 4.5 billion years old, yes? So life has been around, let's say, for 4 billion, just for roughly, yes? It was very early on. I think it's still widely debated, but the accordion time, the gamma ray burst that struck the planet, blah, blah, blah. We'll go with that. So life forms have been around, and that's their nautilus. Yeah. So such things like this. Now, they've been around for 4 billion years, we're going to say. And for 4 billion years, life has been extinct and expanded, extinct and contracted. Let's say we go to a total event of end of the planet. And again, it's never really the end for the planet. It's never really the end for the star. The remnants get spat out. Now, will this go into making new planets? Probably. Can this go into making new stars? Absolutely. Fact is, the remnants are still there, and that star managed to get it up to X, Y, or Z. Now, if it's going to go in multiple directions, can't draw it really well here because it comes out that way, it goes this way, it goes that way. 360 and beyond that, to be honest. So it's more like three-dimensional. No, it's... Anyway, we'll just keep it simple. So it goes in multiple directions, the fragments of the star, yes?
Yeah.
Some of it a little bit more concentrated, depends if there's mass. It's going to be attracted towards the mass. So if Jupiter survives then and the star explodes, it's going to travel towards Jupiter. X, Y, Z. So you can understand there will be a concentration. Now, it goes on, is what happens, is these remnants go on. So the iron, let's say if it made iron, you're going to have a large amount of iron that is still present. The star is still in existence. It hasn't disappeared. This is the same with extinction. Although we will say that the star, currently, as we know it, as we perceive it, as we look up at it, is over, no more there. It technically still is. Its remnants are still there. This is the same with life, by the way, exactly the same with life. And depending on how the planet, let's say, meets its demise, the planet as we know it, with all the fragments of life that's been evolving for 4 billion years. Now, evolving for 4 billion years. Now, we would say that this is, it seems so hard to believe it, but traveling in multiple directions until it rendezvous with another, let's say, Goldilocks zone. And it doesn't have to go into a Goldilocks zone. It can land on a planet that's not in the Goldilocks zone, and perhaps an event happens that then puts it into a Goldilocks zone. Perhaps the star gets hit by multiple meteorites, one after the other. And this causes the star not to be as powerful as it should be. Again, that creates a Goldilocks zone. There are multiple ways to create a Goldilocks zone. Moon's definitely a good Goldilocks zone. Lots of Jupiters. Fascinated on the moons of Jupiter planets or Jupiter-like planets that are elsewhere. Focus on their moons. Life would be more likely to rise up on we see these big Jupiter planets quite close to their host star.
Yeah, yeah.
But if they have a moon orbiting,
Hmm.
it reminds me in a way a bit like Pluto's orbit to the star. Is it going to be close enough to the sun to be cooked up? And again, being able to see that is going to be next to impossible. But if life were to arrive, it would be on these. These can create Goldilocks zones depending on how quick the moons are orbiting that. And therefore it makes an illusion, a temporary understanding of a Goldilocks zone, which is very interesting. The more closer to the Jupiter it will be, like planet, then the more likely life will be. Because it will only reach the heat of that for temporal. It's very quick around. Anyway, so if any of these pieces from the planet exploded in multiple directions, depending on how it meets its demise, those 4 billion years worth of life forms are going to seed that. And it's only going to be a small concentration. You would think that life started on the Earth. No, not at all. It started somewhere else. The primitive, it started elsewhere. The life gets more and more intelligent. Now, that life, although it seems very small, is highly intelligent. Why? Because it was open for this long. Now, if it was open for a little bit longer, just to create the primitive life to come together, blah-de-blah, X, Y, Z, and all amino acids, whatever else, building blocks. What happens if that was around for a further 2 billion years before it met Earth? Here we got 4, and then we got 6. We got 6 billion years worth of evolving. Now, let's say it took time to travel. That's another thing. Well, how long did it take to travel? How long did it stay dormant? How long did it stay in suspended animation? You'd think it's very bizarre that frogs can cope with this. Ladybirds, most critters can cope with freezing. That's interesting. Yeah. That is very, very interesting. It seems like it's so advanced to us, but actually it's dialed back a little bit. Could you imagine that? Then how old are frogs? To be hard frozen. Suspended. Certain wasps are very good at doing this. And we say, oh, it's only below this much, or it's only for this long. Yeah, because on the Earth it's been quite a good climate. It's evolved to settle into the conditions. You see, the thing is that what we don't know is why would it do that on the planet? You could say Ice Age, but there again, they last a very long time. Still got frogs. Interesting. So if they can be hard frozen, it gives you an understanding, and everything is being told to us on the planet that we live on. If we actually just look at it, just pay attention to it. But again, we call it crazy though, don't we? Everything, oh, what, are you mad? You have that idea? You're crazy. Whilst they then go and jump into their car and then fly on an aeroplane to another nation. I mean, we want to talk about crazy from an idea, when all of these things you just did came from a mind just as crazy as that idea. And it started as a seed like that. That's interesting. And it grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And it's still being watered today. But we label it down, don't we? Because it's superiority and inferior. We feel somewhat inferior to it, that we're being guided. It's easier than saying, I don't know, isn't it? Or we could label it and shrink it down and say that we're being led by something, which I happen to believe we are. Everything is coded, and I think it's for our best interests. Empires have fallen. Oh no, it's terrible. Not really. We're still worshipping the sun god. Then when the sun starts puffing up, red giant phase, and starts to get terrible for life forms, it is going to kill us. It's a fine art museum is what it is. We're supposed to respect it for what it was, that it gave life, and yes, sing Kumbaya and hover around and la-di-da. It's great in the meantime, but then we have to be realistic, and then we need time on that. We can't bury that sort of truth. Could you imagine that? That they would be like, no, there's nothing wrong with the star, it's just because we haven't made a sacrifice. Come on, everybody, get down to the star. You need a lot of time to be able to start thinking what you would do but if you didn't know, and you were surrounded in belief that the star god is angry, what would happen? Well, then you would die around your planet. But you would die with the star. Assuming that life forms would last that long, but they would create a belief system that it's not about the planet, it's about the sun god. and that God would want you to do something, being this sun god and different things like that. And it serves a purpose for a bit, but probably trust me when I say this, and I say probably, and I use that lightly, and they would have protected that belief system ferociously, because it meant that that's where their power was structured around. And then, yeah, then if you are, then what? Let's say you wake up to the fact that these people had lied to you, then it's going to be what? Some sort of anger, devastation. And how much time would you need to then think? You wouldn't have enough time. You would run out. The sand would run dry in the hourglass, or the life form understanding. You need time to take that information and think about it.
Yeah.
Whoa, it's going to run out of energy? Or you'd have some ancient Egyptian god going, yeah, all we need to do is just, give a sacrifice for it. It will calm down. We just stay here. We just keep doing what we need to do, and we'll stay here, and it will be pretty good. No, wrong. And then you wake up to this, I don't know, let's just assume 150 years before the star actually does. It's not enough time. I don't think you could think that in that much time. And then we'll look at the Galileo situation as well, how very dangerous this really is. It's good if it serves a purpose. You need something that evolves.
Yeah.
It's going to be believed like this, but it's always likely to change. And just maintain that ship. You've got to steer the ship yourself. So we understand Galileo, heliocentric, geocentric, yes?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they buried that and it was still buried today? Well, you would be building everything under the assumption that everything evolves around the earth, and God has placed a massive emphasis on the word earth.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't maneuver. And then let's just say that you find it out, let's say again, 150 years before an event happened that destroyed the earth. You wouldn't have enough time to start thinking things up. It dials you back massively, hugely. And that's why empires collapse. Whether through events where people will say it was all because of the times changed or whatever else, or whether a force was actively getting in there and disrupting that. So, and do you ever think that they then helped, persuaded? Let me give you a clue. Pharaoh stated he should have listened. No one ever asks to what.
Yeah.
They are warned. All of them. Again, like I say, life gets more and more intelligent, and then it makes you wonder, how old is this force that is guiding you? And then to think about it in certain levels, depending on where the cycle is at, it's slightly off center. We're beyond the halfway point. Life gets more and more intelligent, and that's because there's more and more building blocks to build upon, and these things come together and off it goes. Slightly off center. Now, could you imagine life forms here and how cunning and calculated they really are at this point, as opposed to this point, as opposed to this point? Life forms come together. And it's part and parcel of just growing, really. It's just the way it is. Life forms at this level, well, even if you were to move the life forms here, remove everything that they've learned, place them into this with all the things that they know here, they will act exactly the same as one another. That they're more powerful than, and again, it just depends on. You see, you're blindly fighting, and we never give it credit. We always give it credit to ourselves, don't we? That it's us. We created this idea. No, these ideas come through me. Yes, okay, I might be a message with I might be the vessel with the message, a message in a bottle, so to speak. That means only one message, one bottle. Well, it depends on how much you pack into it, I suppose. But there again, it'll create weight and sink. But let's just assume that it's like that. So, no, higher force. You want to credit something? Yeah, credit that. Is it me? Partly. Partly. Partly your 2 pennies, partly its 2 pennies, you know?
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered that you see someone struggling with something and you're like, do you know if you actually did it? Have you ever tried doing this? They sort of look at you and they're struggling to do something, and then all of a sudden they start to do what you've just said to them. And, oh, yeah. Do you ever think that thoughts are exactly the same as that external, but now we see it internal? We understand that we've got an external star, meaning light, that travels through, that then allows us to see. But we also got our internal, which is imagination, that comes through, and it's always on the screen. And the screen, being the medium, being us, the bit in the middle, a bit like a projector. But it's different to a projector. You would have to sit inside the projector and be able to see both of these on the liquid crystal. Interesting, but still. So if you got the right position inside a projector, if you were inside it and the light was behind you, you would be able to see off the screen this way, but you could also choose to look through it and look at, through the focus point, and you'd be able to look at reality through it.
Yeah.
Depending on which one was brighter, but you would have to dim down, but it's done automatically. Dim down the light behind you, which allows you to see through all of this, which then allows you to forget the imagination for a bit, and then you see reality, and reality's coming through, and it's wonderful, and then you heighten up the light at the back of the projector, and now you begin to see the screen. If you're not in the way of it so that you block out all of the light and just see yourself, hey, so we're not after mirror. We're sort of just slightly down focus of that, and something brighter seems to allow you to see that, and then that gives the illusion of imagination, and it's almost like where someone outside you can give you an idea and a thought, which then transitions on the screen, and something behind you seems to give you the illusion. Something behind you seems to give you this insight as well, doesn't it? That sort of helping hand along the way. And you sort of chew with it, and it's like, yeah, it's possible, I suppose. Yeah, actually, yeah, I could try it that way. Interesting. But we usually blame this on bad thoughts. But again, could you imagine that? If you didn't call it crazy, oh, you're mad, and we didn't put so much pressure onto that, one, egos would be a thing of the past. Gone. We can have a little bit of ego, but we can say that it's all of us. And if it was coming from something beyond, then am I to give this to you lot as well? That's we sort of seem to have this great big audience behind us, but we also have this great big audience in front of us, and we're sort of this. Wait, hold on. This seems. Wait, these are like scales. I'm like in the middle of something here. But if we did, then that becomes superior. Then that makes all superior inferior on the outside. Interesting, which technically it doesn't, and it does, but it doesn't. But do you ever wonder why maybe it's structured this way? And then we call it craziness as opposed to calling it, at least, at very best, we could say, we don't know. You want to label it with anything? Go for it. You've got loads. But for me, it's just that. Whether I'm going to label it a particular thing or not. One thing I won't label it is me. It's almost like I'm a conduit, and you are too. When I say I, it's also you can do this, and you can do this, and you can do this. Just a little bit of time, just a little bit of that nudges in the right direction. Anyway, where was we on this? It's an interesting thing. Got lost on the train of thought, but I'm happy that I went off on that way. Building blocks of life and different things like that. So if we've got life forms that went this way, and we had other life forms that were elsewhere that also went this way. And they didn't meet one another, but let's just say they got extinct, and we would say then that it's ended, which it hasn't, because we know that extinction is a temporal thing. Is it true that all of the chunks out of the star that could explode could be swallowed up by another star and then start the whole process off again?
Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? It almost seems like seeds that go into a larger egg and then perhaps tell the star information. Possible. Anyway, so we've got the life forms that go from 4 billion years, and let's say it was around for 2 billion before that, and then we've got 6 billion years, and then how long in traveling?
Yeah.
How long in that time traveling could we give that realistically? Even if it took 10 billion years, it wouldn't matter, would it? But again, let's say it was traveling for a further 2, which makes 6 into 8.
Yeah.
8 billion years.
Mm-hmm.
And would you believe that these ones have been traveling and also extinct for the same amount of times?
Yeah.
And then we're now combining life forms that have been around for 8 plus 8 billion years, which gives you what, 16?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 16?
Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say 18, but no. 16 years worth, a billion years worth of information.
Mm-hmm.
How advanced do you think those life, if it took hold and it rooted, and remember, it's gone in multiple directions, so is this one, it's scattered. In multiple directions. Okay, sure, it isn't going to be a human. And sure, if it was humanoid over there, it's not going to be a human. It doesn't necessarily have to be a human. What it is a blank canvas of multiple bits of information that come together to create something new. And if they ever started looking at themselves, they would find pieces that just didn't fit. Like, wait, that's weird. What the hell is this shit? Wait, and this inside this result, what the hell is that? Well, I can kind of figure this out, but this stuff here and this stuff over here? No idea. Well, it could be a remnant of a past.
Yeah.
So let's say humanity would be ones that look like this back then, and then we'll have their version. Let's just say it looks a bit like this, weird anyway, but even still they were equally both as intelligent but just ran out of time. Let's just say they ran out of time. And then the next ones that come, oh my days, that intelligence, lots of information. It's got more data to build upon.
Yeah.
More information depending on where it came from. Could you imagine this when it gets into galaxy per galaxy? And all of these mixing in multiple different areas and galaxies coming together. This is beautiful. It's nigh on impossible for if humans were here and the other life forms were over here. No, let's go, let's say from there to there. For how long it would take for them to reach one another would be like nigh on impossible. I mean, it's not impossible because I suppose generation after generation, like you've lived on a planet, but imagine it being a ship instead, and you travel towards one another. Interesting, isn't it? And then let's say you collide with one another and it all goes puckery and the remnants are there, and it starts to build up new life forms on there with that much intelligence, that much information, with that much database, whether it pans out good enough or not. But you can imagine that the life forms are going to be more intelligent. And as the universe gets older and older and older, this intelligence gets more and more potent. Why? Because they don't have enough time. So they've got to be able to think quicker in order to outrun the cycle. And again, even if you outrun the cycle, now let's just say the biome was started this way. How many alternate versions of a biome can you have? As many as you want. It's happened here, it can happen anywhere, can do anything, anytime. And you begin to put your bits of intelligent information onto some rendezvousing planets that happen, along with some other life forms that you've collected, whether remnants in existence and you've met one another. You often attract what you are, and that's a true thing. In a way, it's small scale, not so much. Large scale, probably a bit more. Let's just do the maths on this. So you're going to war with one another, you're creating battles with one another, and you do this with one another, and it watches you from afar. Intelligent life forms that are watching from a distance, depending on how far they've traversed, whether they have traversed the galaxy, whether they've survived a cycle, whether they've traversed over. You're never going to learn everything on the first go round. The more cycles you inevitably survive, the more stronger, the more knowing, the more quicker, the more able you are to get it from A to B. Intelligence works both ways. One, it's being built this way, and two, it's built based on time. The longer you live, the more intelligent you become. It's just the way it is. Look at this craziness. You can apply this to your future and then understand how much more advanced it can get. Well, if the species go from planet dwellers to space dwellers, think how much more they would have. You are limited on a planet. Impressive. You've built a lot with a very small amount of stuff. Now, metastasize this. Your species can only grow to a certain amount before they reach barriers and buffer zones. And therefore, you can say that there's a limit on what you can build on an Earth. Just out of resources and how big you can expand. Now, if we take into space as a consideration, and life forms go to space, how much more weird and wonderful shite can you create from your mind? Well, you have more to create with, therefore more thought, therefore more thinking, and therefore you begin to build a lot more structures that support that existence. And now you're also living on a planet, maybe a couple of planets, who knows, but majority is space driven. Do you think about that? The ones that are on the fence will continue to expand on the Earth. And let's say you colonize Mars, then they begin to expand there. Plus, you begin to colonize space, you begin to expand there. You've now surpassed the bracket of what an Earth limited volume can cope with, because there's less data here for you to do shit with. Unless you manage to make fusion in some unlikely event or diffusion. It's possible. It is possible. But again, you would run out. You'd very much run out. You'd have to start getting this stuff from elsewhere in order to be able to create more. When you think about it, when you're converting gas into something heavier, you need more gas in order to do that. And the more denser it becomes, you're going to need more in it. Yeah. We often lose that in the train of thoughts, that when you're pushing two things together to create something else, you are slowly but surely, you are losing. Because you're gaining more, but more denser objects means that we begin to, it's basically like if we were to compact the atmosphere, you would lose atmosphere, but you need a lot of atmosphere depending on what type of moisture you're wanting to create water. And if we want to compact it further from that, you're going to need a lot more. And you're going to start to run out of things very quickly in order to collapse this down to make something that is, who knows? The more denser it is, the more you shrink it. It's interesting, really, isn't it? And it works in reverse as well, my word. So if you were unpacking all of the water on the planet and made it into a gas, could you think how much you could puff up? But there to collapse it down, you get liquid, therefore it seems like there's, it's crazy, isn't it? I don't understand that. But when you're going into space, you have a lot more at your leisure, although it seems very empty. But then let's say we could destroy Jupiter. Why not? Pop, douche, get all of that stuff, gather it, collect it. What could you do with it? Well, you can do a lot more. You can do more, therefore you become more intelligent. Well, how do you become intelligent? Not only do you know how to conquer the Earth at minimal resources, you're now conquering space. You're also conquering the moon, Mars, Jupiter. You're more intelligent. Why? Because now you know how to support yourselves in space. No longer on landmass. It's all different. So you've just now learned a whole bunch of intelligence. Although you could have got it wrong. Could sit here and hide and just sit there and think, well, if we made it like this, we could do it like this. Yeah. We think it's like this, we think it's like that. Then you get there, start putting it into practice, and then it's like, oh, hold on a second. This is not working out. Let's just have a quick check. Oh, it's different to what we first thought. Boom, intelligence. Boom, you're growing more. Boom. And you got that little whispering inside everybody, which is if you open it more, there's more guidance. Have you ever tried it like this? It's inside your mind. You know, people will say that that's crazy, right? That's crazy. What, you have voices? Well, shit, eh, mate? Yes. Don't you? Oh, that's mad. Right, you can keep running from it if you want. Yeah, but that's probably because it's more associated with when you see most crime things. It's all about the red fog and the demon and stuff, and they were whispering in. It's very weird, but okay, fair enough. People usually sit back and don't question it because it's like, we're getting somewhere. You're about to spill your beans on this. You're about to come out with what it is you did, blah, blah. Re-technique, I think it's also known as. So it's not really questioned, really, because it's sort of sit back and give the space, they fill the silence, and out it comes. Then they admit to some horrific circumstances to murder. And then it seems acceptable. And then when you do it in reverse, it's like, are you mad? Yes. My soul possesses a body. How much more mad do you think we could get? Under the circumstances of what you call mad, actually, I think it's just life, to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. Some of us live small and some live big in different aspects. Some live big in physical reality. Some live big in quantum reality. That's just, you know, shake your hand in the middle somewhere. But both of us can change our own, fucking shift our paradigm. And neither one is better without the other. They're both needed. All are needed. You get it? That's a sort of beautiful thing. But yeah, you become more intelligent with the longer time you have. So the more you're living, the more you're advancing, the more you're learning. Then if you start conquering galaxies, you might not be able to get from here to here in the initial beginning, but you are enough to survive the cycle and be just around, and it's potluck where you land. But as time goes on, you begin to figure out things and are able to move from here to here. Micrometeorites might be a problem in the beginning, but then you learn how to aggravate stars, and my word, they love to be aggravated. And then you might start to fill them up with more stuff, go beyond what would create a neutrino. And then you learn more. Why? Because you've now made some new stuff that wouldn't normally. It's not impossible, I suppose. I suppose it could. But it's unlikely.
Yeah.
But the fact that it is likely because there is intelligent life forms in the biome. I was going to say on the biome, but in the biome. So yes, by design you were created and therefore you did this stuff. So was that the design after all? That's what it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Uranus would be fascinating. What is it? CH4? CH4?
CH4 is methane, isn't it?
Ah, beautiful. So if we could separate that, that's rocket fuel then. No, technically it's the reverse because it's hydrocarbon then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hydrogen, carbon, four. Yes. Finding a way to separate that, diffuse it. Do you ever wonder why Uranus is on its ass?
Yeah.
Well, it's frozen, right? Do you ever think these things are placed just to give you the push, but maybe because you've shut it out, you no longer learn to see the push because of superiority and inferior? It's weird. Anyway, but never mind that. Do you ever wonder why Mars, most of it is accessible? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, well, was that by chance? Ah, that was it. We were talking about attracting what you are. I want to hit on that before I go into this next one. Yeah, so if you're at war with one another and different things like that, and intelligent life forms see this, who are not like that, they're not coming to say hello. And you might like that, and that's cool. That's fair enough. That becomes like magic to who you are, maybe. However, they will maneuver and they could have some very interesting information that you've just now lost. But then there are other life forms that are like that. They love that shit and they see it and then they're like, It's like trying to mix these life forms that aren't like it with the life forms that are like it. Yeah, it just really doesn't fit. They're not going to go after them. It's like trying to convince everyone in a church to join over to Satanism, and the Satanisms to go and join over to the light side of it. It's just never going to happen, is it? Well, never say never. You'd have to let go of the whole belief system, step away from that, look at it, and then be like, I think I'm good. Or, we could combine it. Fuck. But it's very unlikely that you could combine that because they both cancel each other out, right? So we think about this with life forms, right? You got the ones that are sort of a bit more like, no, we're not about that. And the others might see that and think, well, they're quite advanced and they could possibly cause us an arseache. And it then boils down to 50-50. You wouldn't traverse all that way just to come to a battle where you could become worse off. And there's a chance that you can become worse off at 50% and you could become better off at 50%. But the damage that you would receive in that process, and then you've got probably another 50% that you would lose by gaining 50%, doesn't make 150%. One loses everything, the other... You never come away from that completely unscathed. You're going to lose things if you end up going into a battle. So it's probably best that this very much will believe in inferior, superior. So they would look at that as problematic and probably not going to try and take on that just yet. Bit like hunter-gatherers perhaps back in the day would probably be a bit more like, no to those. We just watch these things go by. There we are. Don't want confrontation with, I don't know, let's say a snake, a cobra, whatever, dinosaur. It's best just to leave it. And then you get a bit more equipped and then you're like, you want to walk past me again? Didn't think so. No, you bugger off. And the thing sort of is like, these used to not be a problem. Maybe I'll just go another way. It's weird, isn't it? It's wonderful, but still. So you've got more to gain in that situation, but again, you could still lose quite a bit, but it's on mutual ground. Sort of, you stay out of my way, I'll stay out of yours. But anyway, so let's say that you happen across life forms that act like you, that see you acting this way. Well, I already believe in superiority and hierarchy and all the rest of it, and by elevation, they already are in a hierarchy position. And then it depends on how intelligent they are with this. They could start looking at the composition of the planet and, you know, do you ever hear this ever said in history? It's a bomb that leaves buildings standing but kills everything. You never heard that? Well, anyway, maybe that's just what I was taught, but, you know, this was what we were learning, certain stuff that, you know, certain things didn't cause that much damage. They just, you know, removed this but caused lots of casualties but left the building stand. Oh, weird. What if they had that same input? The same understanding, that they would make something along those same lines. If you can think it, something else is already going to be thinking that, and maybe it could use it more than what you understand. This could diminish what you are. Don't mean to scare anybody. It's not to really scare anyone. It's highly unlikely. It's probably not, but still, it's one to think about. If you don't think about it and you believe that there is nothing, we're the center of this universe. Well, it'd defeat the object of having to make more stars, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, why do you see all those stars? Oh. And there wouldn't be any more galaxies, would there?
Not really. You just wouldn't bother, would you?
Yeah.
I mean, it defeats the object, right? If you like fish, you only get one fish bowl, yeah? What happens if you go into a house full of fucking multiple fish bowls, sorry, with fish in it? Why have you got multiple fish bowls? You know, I'm a bit like the galaxy, me. But you ain't got any other fish in this one. I know. Just this one has got the fish in it. In fact, there's nothing else on these ones. Don't even look. It defeats the object, right? Why would you go to all of that trouble to have multiple empty fish bowls that you have to clean and maintain and do anything else with just to keep them empty?
Just have decorations.
Just decoration. Just dust traps is what they are. This is the real McCoy right here. It is? Yeah, look at the fish in there. Oh, yeah. What about these? No, don't worry about that. I think the dust mites have started growing in this one. Wait, there is life in there. Okay, it's just primitive, maybe. You still, you get the idea, right? So you would have multiple fish bowls. Okay, maybe not close in proximity. Yeah, it depends on what kind of fish you've got and how hostile they are, and if they're a bit intelligent. Octopus swinging by from multiple bowl to bowl, that would be interesting, but still. If it wants to eat them, it probably would. Anyway, so if you had a little bit more, you know, you often think that it would cause this repelling nature. Ooh, probably going to repel those because they look pretty brutal towards one another. Yeah, I don't know about that. Some will be repulsed by that, but some will be drawn to it. Ooh, got to show them who's really it. Let's hope there isn't that. But again, it's on your own planet. It's on your own planet. You have pockets of people that can live in harmony, and you have pockets of people that can't, and you have pockets of people that is all about this, and this. You want to apply that and have a little look up and think, if it's happening here, could this happen anywhere else? Well, with multiple opportunities out there, the distance between you is is the bit that people will probably argue back with, but that's a limited perspective. You will understand that when you start traveling to space, and when, you know, the star Ra starts to, you know, fizzle out, let's say, and you've collected all you can get from here, you're going to leave. Perhaps. At least be safe enough away, and, you know, oh, this area seems to be quite empty. Should we go to the other one? It looks a bit full. Nah, it's an empty fishbowl. No, you're going to go to it. You'll go to it. And then this hopping from one to the other, if you're alive long enough, generation after generation, as opposed to on a planet, it's now actually happening in space, and it's colonizing this. Now you've got more intelligence. Why? Because now you understand a different star system with different concoctions on it. Well, what's this shit? I don't know. Have you tried doing this? Wait, it's that voice again. Quick, let me take some tablets. You probably don't want to suppress that. You probably want that to expand. Probably not the other side of that. It led me to do bad things. That side of it, probably, probably not. But either or. But if you were a little bit more, you can see intelligence, and therefore you wouldn't be able to see what type of arsenal you wouldn't need to know. It's all on display here. If we go to war, the first thing I would look at is, from another planet's perspective, is how they fight one another. What sort of artillery have they got? Whereas intelligent life forms that were not flexing but showing their intelligence, but hid. They've got a sting in their tail. You just don't know what it is. And that is it, isn't it? You have mucked your hand on all of your specialist equipment. Probably not going to go for those ones. They look a little bit, yeah, but look, they look like they're cowards. Come on. Yeah. We don't want to make that assumption. And at least try and start something with them, because you don't know what they got. As opposed to life forms on another planet somewhere else, and you can see it, and you can see what they got and what they use and how they respond towards one another. You've got a lot of data. A lot. That's counter strategy. And even if it's hidden, it depends on how well it's hidden. And it depends on what sort of stuff you've created, if you've made it really small. This can also be infiltrated. And again, you attract what you are. Not in the small scale, perhaps it is true, but larger scale, I don't know. I think it gets a little bit worse in that aspect. So usually these ones diminish themselves out because they spend a lot of time on this. It doesn't last very long. The ones that come together that want to try and survive this and figure this out are usually concentrating on it, and usually this leads them towards making breakthroughs that make them nigh on impenetrable. And by that time, they've spent a lot of time on focusing on this. They want to push the envelope on it and become better at so they haven't really got much time for that sort of stuff. But if they see it in others, a little bit of a glimmer of something that they are and what they're doing, there's a high chance that they could try and break the ice to incorporate or give them pointers or help them. That would be something. Why? Because it's that they're not a threat. They could well be a threat. But it's unlikely at this stage that they could even do anything to you, even if they did. And that's the worst case scenario, that you just then bugger off unscathed. You tried. But you have to ask, it's a numbers game. How many then have successfully gone that way? Because they've seen that recognition that you're a bit like, this is exactly what we are about. Mirror image. Do you notice when you see the monkeys walking through the mangroves and they walk bipedal and humans stop and sort of be like, they walk like us. Recognition is what that is. That's what that is. That's fucking ancient in you. You're witnessing it. You try and look at it with monkeys. You're fascinated with why? And you want to put them in clothing and because they're mirroring you. You are noticing this recognition there, that there's something that draws you to it and you can't explain why. Imagine amplify this. If you come across you've been a lot of places, and by this point you'll stumble across something like this. You're going to have that pull there. Interesting. So you can attract what you are in that aspect. And again, interesting. You leave yourselves wide open in certain aspects. Anyway, still wonderful. So I'm saying about Uranus, that's it. Why is it on its arse end? And Mars has its guts similarly popped out, and lots of things frost the mountains of Venus and anything else. Uranus being on its side would give you the indication. What smacked that? What hit that? Did something hit that and knock it on its back? That's what you're meant to think. But if you rise that thought a little bit more, just a bit, just a smidge,
Mm-hmm.
now ask a question. What's it made of? It's frozen. It's this. It's that. Okay. Is it far enough away from the star that if you knock anything off of that planet by hitting it with an object,
Mm-hmm.
can you get some of those frozen chunks to spin out and make a ring system, which you can, because you can see that there isn't a ring system around Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
Can you then collect that? Now what happens if you melt it? Now what happens if you're able to separate those gases once they come out? You've now got hydrogen and you've got carbon in quite an abundant amount.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. How do you then convert that carbon into oxygen?
Yeah.
And then once you've done that, you now have water, H2O, if you push the gases back, an abundance. How much could that support humanity? That whole planet. Yeah. And it makes you think, and then it's supposed to trigger something, and a little bit of that, wait a second. This is what talks through me. Think up a bit more. Oh, okay. But again, if NASA never existed and the Voyager probes never happened and Russia never went out to all of these worlds and it caused a competition between the two, you would not have this information. And therefore, with this information means that you can think now, since what, the 70s and way before that, I think it was quite a bit before that, you now have information.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of information that allows you to think, which allows the mind to develop, and then it begins to safeguard future generations of humans, which is humanity, and it gives you somewhere massive to expand into. Just by recreating what you think has already happened is telling you a story.
Mm-hmm.
Factor that in with Mars
Mm-hmm.
and the metals that are there. What do you now have? A place to create something for the nature to transform these gases if you figure out how to separate these gases. And then you can start creating water,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
habitats,
Yeah.
and now you can start making a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
A cycle which is good for what? You. This stuff is hard frozen, interesting, isn't it? Separate those gases and remix them. Now you've got an abundance of gases. If you could do the same, gas giants is a little bit more tricky, but not impossible. You can use pressure rockets. It's interesting to siphon off what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And these always go towards the ring system. Nice. It's better than it being scattered all the way around. Eventually it will formulate the ring. And if it starts clumping together, just naturally creating moons, which would look like shepherds, they're easier to grab. You don't need to do anything to bunch those together. That's interesting. And then you can start to build your populations into this. All because it was frozen and you had to go with some junk, and there's plenty around with the clouds that are around. The Oort cloud, Kuiper belt. This stuff isn't going to be missed if you throw it at it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start breaking chunks out. What can you do with that? And again, maybe you're not interested in doing, you just want to see because it would be science. NASA will probably say that's science, whatever else, whoever else. And they just maneuver these things off of the planet. And then they start to create the ring system. The next generation can be like, we could do something with this stuff. And then the next one's like, oh, we can separate these gases. And then some other group comes and they're like, wait, with those gases you separated, we could convert it using the plant. Okay, we got the plants to. And then some others are like, you know that stuff in Mars? We've made these things. If we combine all of these together, we might be able to make a habitat. Mm-hmm. And then some will see it as a greenhouse or whatever else it may be. Who knows? And then others might see that as habitation. Mm-hmm. Self-fulfilling. And all of this in experimentation, and then all of a sudden you have just created a brand new system. Yeah, keep at that. And then you'll probably have some branches of humans going, no more hitting Uranus. Yeah, we'll probably have people who would become green people.
Yeah.
Is that how we could say that?
Yeah.
This is bad. You are destroying it. That transforming. It's still here. In fact, if we don't do this, what happens to Uranus? It will disappear into a billion pieces, and no one will know it ever existed. But if we take it, we can put it into a time machine. Wait, what? Yeah, psychological warfare. Come on. Which it is, in a way. I've never thought like that before. Do you want to join my team? What team? The team or my team? This one. Go Team Humanity, woohoo! But do you often think that all of these things are like little Easter eggs that are just done by accident, or something else has been prepping? And again, life forms that get more and more intelligent can also teach you intelligence, because the whole saying, monkey see, monkey do, but that's not true. It's human see and human can do. That's the true saying, but we often say monkey, and I don't know why. Yeah, someone else was saying monkey see, monkey do. And I was just like, no, humans see and humans can do. What are you doing? Painting. Next thing you know, everyone's fucking painting. Do you know what I mean? Human see, human do.
Yeah.
Copying never felt so good, except for eating that. Don't do that. But you understand that, yeah? We often...
Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. But yeah. And slowly but surely life begins to transform, and your knowledge begins to... Because your capability, right? First it's like, well, that's impossible, that's crazy, and then you do it, and it's like, we've been doing this for donkey's years. You know, the future won't doubt you. The people around you now will doubt you. And you often wonder, why? Why? What is that doubt about? The doubt as what? People just don't believe in themselves, but believe in exterior. They believe more in things they can't prove than the things that are quite more possible. It fascinates me with that. You know, there's a belief system in something. You know, I told you that. Yeah, I got a lot of friends that were all into this spirituality and stuff, and that they were solid into that belief, trying to convince me that this is, you know, this is what we're doing, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, this is pretty cool, and not judging, but just not me. And they really believed in that. And then when I state something about the planets or this, that, and the other, they're like, are you mad? Wait, what? Hold on. Wait, just back up a second. That sounds impossible. Okay. But I think humans could do it. No, I don't. And you believe in ghosts? Yes. You believe in spirits? You believe this thing here can summon them? Well, yeah. Don't you? Just let me rotate this again. What's that? It's a 6. Okay, and I do it again. 9. Okay, and again. 6. And now it's on its side. I don't know. The scribble. Half a piece of the glasses, maybe. Or it's like a beautiful looking half of an M.
Or 8 becomes eternity when it's on the side, doesn't it? It's called...
Oh, 8
it's used
eternity.
For... Yeah, but on the side
or
it's used for eternity. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of things, that. Or a pair of glasses. Anyway, but even still... that fascinated me, not to criticize. They've got their own thing that they do, and it's actually quite impressive, and some of them are quite bang on the mark. What it is, subtle reading or whatever it may be, it's just interesting. And so maybe they're reading people as opposed to ghosts. So you know, that's their thing, and they're very content and happy with it, and I'm happy that they're happy with that. It's just the thing that fascinates me with it is when you take a step back from it, there's not a lot of belief in this. And I often wonder what it is. Is it the belief in other humans, or is it, you know, you believe more in this than you do in this? And why do you believe more in that when it's hard to prove that? And this is easier to prove because history has already done the proving. It's, you know, you walk around in the woods at one point, and it progressed. All of this craziness, you know, and it wasn't the same back then. There wasn't these labels. And then I often wondered, then where did these labels come from? Where did this doubt come from? It almost seems engineered, like deliberate, put in people to, you know, to believe more in that, which then makes them doubt their capability, which then, how does that work for humanity as a whole going forwards? And then if you start talking space, people will often want to shut it down, like it's like a self-defense mechanism that is built into everybody, because it's this blamed on lack of belief, or it's when humans have been doing things that defy their natural order for millennia, if you understand it in that way. You know what you're naturally meant to be doing, and you've took a step or sidestep from it, and feather to stick to this, to axe to this, to all of that was thought. And if it hadn't have happened back at that time, you wouldn't reach the point that you're at now. Just if they'd have believed back then that it was impossible and talked themselves right out of it, but they had a greater belief in themselves, it would seem. And today there seems to be the lack of belief in everybody coming together. It just seems it's so. Is it the belief in what you're saying, or the society's conditioning, that there's the lack of that? And then it stops, and then there's a time frame. The time frame has surpassed, and then there's the proving grounds again, which is then to go to space and begin to prove that you can do this. And you do it with one thing and another thing and another thing and another thing, you know, and then slowly but surely it begins to solidify. And then does that become the backbone again of humanity, where they begin to believe in themselves, equal to believing in something higher, equal to believing in something? All of these things are higher, ghosts, spirits, whatever, religion and stuff. And I think religions are healthy, and I think science or two is kind of like a religion, isn't it? As long as it doesn't get grounded in it, and it can adjust. If it can adjust, then that's a good belief system to have, that it's going to constantly adjust. But it's a very hard thing to put into practice. It sounds good when you say it, but again, there's often that fear always takes over, isn't it? The fear that people will stop believing in it, and it will bump the it's kind of strange, isn't it? And a religion that is able to evolve is also a very healthy one. That keeps, as a byproduct, even the structures that stand today, if they can adjust and keep adjusting, you know, you create a good system, and by default, you're needed to maintain the system. Then you create another one, and this is maintained then, but it adjusts each time. And that's via default. That's the contract you enter into when you take up these roles, whether you've been told it directly or not. That is the agreement you've entered into. Hell of a responsibility, because if it all goes down the Swanee, you can't look for an outside force. Stagnation, I think, is one of those. That would be a great system, wouldn't it? One that could cope with that and not have any fear in that process of adjusting. And yeah, I think that's when you say space and stuff like that. Oh no, what about this? What about that? What about this? But in that hesitancy, if certain groups only go, that might not be good. I think you need a large amount of people to go together, from high to low, and everybody helping everybody else, because then it becomes second nature. That's what you want it to be, as opposed to superiority. You've got to understand that that is pretty big, and that can cause a big shift in power structure in itself, right? higher advantage, hierarchy. This can really, that's why it needs to be done in such a way where everybody's sort of like, we all agree. It's in all of our best interests to go together in this from top to bottom, because then it creates reassurance, and then, this becomes the cornerstone, so to speak, then, if you want to say it that way. That becomes the set way of things that are to be done this way together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that begins to change things. It really does. And then the learning starts again. You need time.
Yeah.
I don't think you've got enough of it. That's the thing. The hourglass has rotated. The sand is now running in it, and you've got to get an edge of that, because the more data will come in and the more capability you do, and then the more reassurance you do, which prepares not you necessarily, but your next gen. It prepares them to get ahead. Could you imagine if we'd go back to hunter-gatherers and they had all of this knowledge of making axes, building shelters, and doing all of this stuff, but they actually carried on wandering in the woods? You mean to tell me you know how to build houses? Yes. You could build pyramids and structures and shit. Well, why have you never done it? Because it's just like the next generation about space. They weren't going to do it. We didn't do it. We just archived all of this stuff, and we just want to keep doing this stuff. Defeats the object of giving some of you brains, doesn't it? Fingers, digits, capability. I mean, we just we were too scared of what? It's the
Yeah.
Fast forward it to now.
Yeah.
It's like go back on the primitive level. Amino acids. How come you haven't come together? Well, thing is, we like being in control. All of that capability, all of this glomping together and everything else, you didn't want to come together to create this life that could, yeah, we all knew all of that. You did? Yeah, we just didn't want to. Why not? Well, we figured that if we were going to make life forms, they could be a bit reckless. They might start walking us into the sun.
Yeah.
It just defeat the object of then.
Oh, yeah.
So animal it is then, yes? Anyway, but yeah, still interesting, very interesting. Or we just didn't believe in ourselves, or we believed in this. Okay. Come on, come together, you little sons of bitch. Yeah, so sometimes I might need a little bit of a coaching. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
And then we've sort of learnt to ignore that coaching. Go away. How's my oil painting going? Do I have to stay here for another month? What do you think I am, a sloth? Good idea if you ever want to paint something. It'd probably be a sloth. You keep moving. I know. That's just me. You'll never get an oil painting of me. I wouldn't sit still long enough. Well, you would. It'd just be fucking 3D. You'd move the picture and I'd move with it. Are there any drawings like that? I often wonder if people, you moved. I've got to start again. You moved again. And if you sort of ridged all of these portraits and they finished them off, do you actually get a moving? Never mind.
No, you don't.
No?
No.
So they did all of those oil paintings in one go?
No, probably not.
Flick book? Okay, never mind. Never mind. Because that would be great with art, if you could do it that way, isn't it? If you could go back in time where they did their sort of rough sketch and then another sketch with a little bit more paint on it, and then this one was a final product, and then you're able to flick it to see it in the blank paper, this one, drawing, sketch, this. Interesting.
Yeah.
You ever done that with any of the art that you've done? We start in the beginning and just sort of flick through it. You know, like flicking?
Flicking.
I guess it's probably because I was a bit of a perfectionist, and when I was writing songs, and then damn it, got to start again. One mistake, and do you know how much paper I was wasting? It was terrible. But there was one weird and wonderful thing that it did happen, because I kept it in the same book, and then one would start and it'd get a little bigger, and then I'd be like, oh my god, I'm actually doing really well. I didn't make any mistakes in this. Wait, what about that? Shit. Seriously, I couldn't read the song. I'd have to memorize it. If not, I keep getting confused about the mistake. I kept falling over the mistake. But when you flicked it, you could notice it growing. Interesting. But anyway, still, sometimes the writing bigger and smaller, and I don't know, just like doing things like that. But yes, life coded. But yeah, extinction, never truly extinct. Not at all. Not at all. That's a good pen. It's invisible, is that?
Yeah, it is very invisible.
But yeah, extinction, and again,
That is slightly visible.
maybe I should read this as a sign. People will be saying, it's a sign, yeah, that my pen's run out. But extinction is never truly extinction. And then with this cycling, remnants. Ancient, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, so if you come together with life forms and you decided to put them down, man, it starts making you ask questions backwards. Because what you come at the start of the cycle when it's very gassy and a few splittery stars everywhere, that will make you ask a whole lot of questions. And you start doing the very thing that could have possibly have been done to you in a database of life forms. Ooh. There again, depends on what comes down, doesn't it? What mixes next time.
Yeah.
Is it all the same every time? No. Per cycle? Lifeline, birth line, slight variations. Interesting. You can get a lot wrong and contradict. Be happy to contradict yourself, correct yourself. I'm going to take a leaf out of Stephen King's book. Well, if you're going to pay someone else to mangle my book, it might as well be me. Indeed. Yeah. You might as well become the critic. Because you are the worst critic. And therefore you can really, contradict? Hypocrite? Thank you. Yes, I am. Proud. Anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. There's a few more I want to dive into, but I think that will be enough for now. And we'll save them for a later date. I got so much I would like to talk about, actually, to be honest. And yeah. I want to leave it. That's what I'm going to do. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave that.